Welcome to Basketball U. If you're new to Basketball U, make sure you slam dunk that subscribe button. And just to make sure you don't miss a thing, make sure you tap that notification bell right after you hit that subscribe button. Welcome back, and thank you for watching Basketball U. In case you forget, be sure to slam dunk that subscribe button while you're watching if you like what you see, because there are so much more Basketball U content to check out. Social media links in the description, and the handles are right in front of you. Now, picking up where we left off on part 1, Lil Dribble brought down the details about the point guards and the shooting guard positions. As you're now watching part 2, he will continue with small forward, power forward, center, and even hybrid positions. And Lil Dribble will explain all of these to you right about now. Put him back in, coach!
Moving forward, small forwards played a different purpose in older basketball days, but now the small forward is similar to the shooting guard. The small forward plays a huge role, also known as the 3 in terms when coaches are talking about numbering positions on the floor. This is possibly the most versatile player on the court. Playing small forward basically requires you to have skills such as the shooting guard and the power forward. You got to be strong and scrappy and box out and get in there and just be a gritty player on both ends of the floor. Basically, you have to have the ability to shoot the mid-range jump shot as well as the perimeter now and be able to still put the ball on the floor. The presence that the shooting guard brings with scoring on the perimeter or outside the 3, the small forward also brings that presence inside, which allows them to play with their back to the basket or have a mid-range game that I just discussed and being able to score on all 3 levels. Skills that are required in the position more than others is the ability to rebound and guarding multiple positions. Ideally being able to guard a bigger player if the low post player gets into foul trouble. Some amazing small forwards in the game of basketball have been the likes of Jerry West, which is the logo, if you didn't know that, Dominique Wilkins, Scottie Pippen, and then we have our amazing small forwards right now in the game as Kevin Durant, and of course you probably heard of that guy that's doing pretty well right now, LeBron James. Some can say this is the best position in the game, and some can say that these are the best players of all time that have played in this position. It's always up for debate. Make sure you comment down below what you think. With basketball, you're going to learn the game is always up for debate, and that's why we love the game so much. So this next position I'm going to discuss with you is what most people, they don't feel like it's that exciting of a position. But with the game being a little bit different, it's become a little bit more interesting. Now, it not being the prettiest position, just know the closer you get to the hoop, the tougher things get for the power forward. They live close to the rim, muscling out baskets and fighting for rebounds in this position. It's also known as the position that requires a blend of strength and size. A power forward needs to work on their skills in the paint, like boxing out and posting up the defenders, as well as spacing out the defenders so that they can work a little outside of the paint. They also need to be able to set screens and be mobile when coming off and rolling off of those screens to create opportunities for themselves, as well as a little bit more space for the guard coming off, setting up the play. These screens allow their teammates to get open, to be successful, and often power forwards need to use an array of shots, put back short jumpers, baseline fade, jump shots, runners, and it can just make a power forward more effective on offense, as they should be able to hit the mid-range jumper as well. Skills that aren't required as much when it comes to the power forward. They don't expect them to be able to put the ball on the floor as much as the other positions that we've discussed before. But they have a bigger role on defense in bringing a big body presence and also a shot blocking presence. Now, not to get it confused, speaking about size and strength, we have to take into consideration that they still have to be athletic enough to guard smaller power forwards and small forwards, in some cases, maybe even the shooting guard. With the ability to alter the shots, like we talked about, being able to block them, they're just the defensive stopper. And some great players that were really good on both sides of the ball that we would just going to give you a brief explanation about was Kevin McHale, which is an old school player that was a legend. Bill Walton was even a good player when it came to that. And then coming into the later years, we got Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan. And we can't forget about one of the power forwards that revolutionized the game internationally, as well as here in the States, Dirk Nowitzki. That really sums it up for power forwards. We can get in more detail about the specifics of each player, but we'll do that in Basketball U a little bit later down the road as we start explaining skill sets and really breaking down each dynamic of a position. Typically, the biggest player on the court is the center, and now the center is the person who defends the rim on one end and is constantly a threat beneath it. One thing that people have a misconception with centers is they feel like they're big and slow. Well, in the NBA game, centers still have to be athletic enough to run the floor, jump high, and they also need to be able to create their own shot, but not so much in the sense of using a whole bunch of moves with their dribble, more about their footwork and being proficient with their back to the basket. Footwork is highly important when it comes to some of these centers that we're going to discuss. Setting screens is important. Also playing a big role in getting second chance baskets when rebounding. And basically, the center is just basically what it is, the centerpiece of the team. Without the center position, there would be a lot of teams that wouldn't have been successful in the past. The thing that's revolutionized about the game is centers now are expected to step out and shoot the three-point shot, when a long time ago that was looked down upon because the game was created without a three-point line. So that just, that's understandable that the bigger player didn't want to shoot it. Some of the best centers of all time when speaking about what we just talked about and also being the centerpiece of basketball, well, it lets you know the importance because the all-time leading scorer was a center, and that guy's name is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We talked about him briefly when we were talking about breaking backboards and dunking on people a couple episodes ago, but now you know exactly who he is. And the other dominant force that people forget to mention sometimes, he scored 100 points in a game one time, and his name is Wilt Chamberlain. And you go ahead and try to just score 100 points outside right now and see if you can do that in about an hour time. It's tough to do, and the center is an overlooked position, but it was a very important piece to the game before, and it still is now. And then one of the most amazing human athletes of all time was the guy with every single nickname in the book, Shaquille O'Neal. And the reason I mention these three in particular, opposed to mentioning all the other great centers that have been over time, is because these three really seem to be larger than life when they first came into the league and on their way out as well. Once you get older and you're taking a beating for 82 games, the season tends to slow you down. But Shaquille O'Neal always kept his presence, as well as a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and a Wilt Chamberlain. One that I also forgot to mention that kind of jumped back and forth from center to a kind of a forward position was the great Bill Russell, a rebounding machine and just a force down low. Basically, those are all the 5 positions in basketball. There's some considerations to take when talking about early advancement in these positions and in the game of basketball, and what they can turn into for your son or your daughter. So I hope that gave you some information on that. Before we end this episode, we have to touch on what the game has developed into these newer positions that aren't necessarily separate from the 5, but with the game evolving, we've created these hybrid positions. And hybrid positions just basically are the positions that combine the skills of other positions. And people have developed different skill sets over time, watching the game and learning the game from different places around the world. And this is giving us the ability to have this luxury of having players who fit the mold of these positions. So some of these positions would be something in regards to the combo guard, the swing man, the stretch four, and the point forward. Now, going through all of these, the combo guard basically is a combination of point guard skills with shooting guard skills. So when you don't have your typical point guard available, that allows your shooting guard to play the point guard position. It's very rare that you'll have the point guard play the shooting guard position, as sometimes point guards don't have that ability to shoot the ball as well, even though they have the ability to score. Having the swingman is just typically taller than your typical shooting guard, and it usually creates a mismatch for some, but also it's a player that keeps the game kind of going on a more fluid way where they don't make mistakes, and they're just in to give that superstar player a rest for that in the meantime. And it allows them to play anywhere from the forward to the small forward, or even the shooting guard if necessary. The stretch four is a power forward with the ability to make shots from 3-point range. This has opened up so many different opportunities for the game as it stretches out the defense and opens up driving lanes for the guards. And then you have a point forward, which allows your bigger player to be able to handle the ball and make point guard decisions. Now, sometimes it's bringing up the ball, but sometimes they make the position at the top of the key while orchestrating some cuts and different things happening during the offensive strategy at that time. So those are basically all the hybrid positions out there in the game of basketball and the positions in general. Thank you for watching Basketball U. We appreciate you. I'm Lil Dribble. I hope that wasn't too much information. And if it was, go ahead and click back and watch the video one more time. And don't forget, someone's always working. Are you?
This is Basketball U. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, follow all of our social medias right there in the description to keep yourself up to date, as this channel will have a lot of basketball, a lot of players, and a lot of training and more information on how to play the game of basketball. Remember, someone's always working. Are you?